Welcome back to another crochet tutorial from Cozy Rosie UK, and today I'm sharing with you how to create my mesh stitch join, which you can use on any blanket squares or granny squares to join your squares together. I'm going to be showing you today how to join your blanket panels together from the Jolly Holiday blanket crochet along, where this does use the mesh stitch join between each of the panels. Now, before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so you never miss out on all of my crochet patterns or tutorials again. Now, I've edged all of my blanket panels in the same colour, which is of course the same weight yarn as I used to create the panels using Paintbox Yarns Simply Aran. This is a size 4 yarn. It is 100% acrylic, and this is shade 202, which is champagne white. These are all the same lot number, luckily. Must have bought a lot at some point. So all my blanket panels have been edged with a single crochet, all the same number of stitches on the corresponding edges. The first thing we need to do before we do anything is of course arrange your panels in the order that you want them to be joined, so that when you're looking at your blanket they're in the order that you like. That is of course entirely your choice. I've joined both my blankets in the same order because I kind of like the way they are. I'll put it up on the screen here in which order I have joined them. You're welcome to replicate that. And I'm going to be working from the bottom of my blanket up to the top, working those two vertical lines first of all. It doesn't matter which row you start with or where you start in your blanket. We're going to work all the rows in the same direction. If you're only working a 9-panel blanket, you'll only have 2 to do. If you're doing 4 panels, it depends which ways you've organized them. Of course, you can, whichever number you have, you just need to work. I work all mine in the same direction, so I'll do 1, 2, and then I'm going to turn my blanket and join them in the other direction. So one of the most common questions I'm going to get asked is, how can I tell which is the right side and which is the wrong side? If you edge the panels starting where that beginning slip stitch was, or slip knot should I say was, all your panels should have been joined the same way. And when you look at the bottom of your panel, this row at the bottom will be the right side of your pattern, and then the next row kind of points out a little bit which is the wrong side. And also your edging, if you've got the right side facing, you'll be able to see those stitches really easily. As I mentioned, we are going to be creating this join on the wrong side of our panel. It will become clear as to why we're doing that in a moment. It's mainly to do with the way these stitches are joined. So once you've arranged all of your panels in the right order, flip them over, because we're going to be joining them with the wrong sides together. So this was the outer corner. This was my middle column of panels. You can see the other side, the wrong side of my panels here as well. So we're going to start by inserting our hook into that outside panel, and I'm just going to yarn over my hook and bring it through. We then make a chain of 3, and we're going to slip stitch to the corner on the other side of our blanket and work through the wrong side of the panel. So we're just inserting our hook through that corner. So this is the wrong side, so you're coming through the wrong side out to the front, and then we just slip stitch through the corner and through the loop on our hook. So that's our panels joined. If only it was that easy. Now this chain 3 that we've created counts as our first double crochet. From here we're going to slip stitch across the next 2 stitches on our middle panel. So we insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and slip stitch, and we do that again into the next stitch along. So we've worked into this one, we're going into the next and slip stitch. We're then going to work a double crochet back into the beginning panel. So we're going to yarn over the hook. This is where our chain 3 is. That's our first stitch, and we're skipping to the next. So we yarn over, we insert and work our double crochet as normal. and then on our other panel we are going to slip stitch across the next 2 stitches. So we slip stitch and slip stitch. On our beginning panel we skip the next stitch, we yarn over, so we skip one and work our double crochet into the next. As you can see, that's giving us a really nice mesh stitch join, and from the right side of our project you can see nothing whatsoever. Now this is only achieved by working through from the right side out to the front. So I know it feels probably a little bit awkward, but it is worth the extra effort. And this is why this join is worked on the wrong side, because obviously we do make a little bit of a bump when we work our stitches. So we're going to repeat this all the way up to our next corner, working 1 slip stitch into each of the next 2 on the opposite panel before working 1 double crochet. So we skip the next and work 1 double crochet on the beginning panel. I'll show you that again. So we slip stitch through over the next 2 stitches, that's 1 and 2, we yarn over, we skip the next and work a double crochet on the other panel. Just once more for good measure. So we slip stitch over the next 2 stitches, we skip the next on the other panel before working our double crochet. Oh, pull that up before I pull that out. You can see what a beautiful join this is, and it's a nice firm join with a little bit of movement. So we're going to continue to repeat this all the way up to our first corner, which is where I'm going to meet you so that we can work, oops, where are they gone? So I can show you how to work across the corner and then join on your next 2 panels. This is where we should be. So I've worked my double crochet, slip stitched across, and I'm just before my corner. I'm going to skip the next stitch and work a final double crochet so that the corners are in line. If you've got an uneven number of stitches, please don't worry. It happens. There's always a workaround. Effectively, what we're trying to do is to get to this corner with an even number of stitches between all of this open mesh stitch, and everything is worked on the wrong side so that our right side looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, so you should be on your top panel ready to go into your corner. Slip stitch into your chain 2 corner space. We are then going to chain 2. We're going to bring in our 2 panels. They are wrong side facing towards us. So I have my middle is this side, this is my outer, so this is my Santa panel here, and I'm going to slip stitch to the chain 2 space on the bottom corner of Santa, in my case, whichever your middle panel is going to be. And we're just slip stitching to that chain 2 corner space. Once that's joined, we're going to work our first double crochet into that next chain 2 corner space. So we've done a chain 2 across into that corner space. We're now working a double crochet into this corner space. So I've yarned over and I'm ready. Just going to find my corner, insert my hook to work that first double crochet to join this panel. And then we have our panels joined to each other. And then we are going to continue to repeat our join all the way up this side. It's a little bit difficult to show you. So on your middle panel, or your top, what is now your top panel, we're going to slip stitch across the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. And then of course we skip the next, ready to work our double crochet into that next stitch, and we're repeating that all the way up the next 2 panels. It does not look good right now. Let me just move that a bit. There we go. So we chained 2 to join on the panel, worked a double crochet into the corner opposite, slip stitched across, double crochet, slip stitch across the next 2, and we're going to repeat that all the way across. So complete your mesh stitch all the way up to your next corners. So remembering that we're slip stitching across 2, skip the next, working a double crochet into the other panel. So slip stitch across 2, before working your double crochet into the next. So from here you can continue to add on your join all the way up to your next corner, and then add on your next panels in the exact same way, making sure that your join is in the same line on that middle panel in your next corner. And of course you then need to add on your next row of panels too. Make sure that you're adding your join all in the same direction for all of your rows of panels, and then we are going to return to come back and join in the other direction to complete our join across this corner. Continue to add all your panels in this direction in your first row, and then add on your next panel by starting your join in that bottom corner space and adding your next panel on, so that all of your joins are in the same place, so that it makes joining in the other direction that little bit easier. I'll meet you once you've joined all of your rows in this direction to work back across the other way. So once you have joined all the panels in the same direction, we are going to find that chain 2 corner space, and we're going to join all the way up, oh goodness, where are we, all the way up to here. So just like before when we've joined our other panels. These blankets get a bit big, it's hard to do these tutorials. We slip stitch across the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, we skip the next stitch, working a double crochet, and we continue to slip stitch across. We've worked into that one, so 1 and 2, before skipping 1 and working a double crochet. So continue to repeat our join all the way up to our already half joined corners, and I will meet you up here. So I have worked all the way up across, and in theory I should be working 1 double crochet into that stitch there, but we're going to skip that stitch because we've already got our chain to here where we joined. I can hold this up. What we're going to do is slip stitch into the next chain 2 corner space. We are going to slip stitch across this previous double crochet, so you have to kind of shove your hook through, which on camera is incredibly hard to do. So we're kind of working through that double crochet, probably just place 2 across, and then we are going to slip stitch back into that chain 2 corner space. So that's us worked across this double crochet here, and then we're ready to continue to work across into that unworked chain 2 corner space. So we're inserting our hook and working our double crochet into that chain 2 corner space, and then we are back to working our slip stitches across the next 2 stitches. We skip 1 and continue to join. Position this so you can see what we've actually done. So it gives us a really nice join across the middle of our panels. You've got, it doesn't look very good from this side. Let me flop it over so you can see the right side. So you can see that it leaves us with our perfect square in the middle of our project, where all of our corners are joined and all have been worked. Make sure you don't slip stitch too tightly, because I certainly have. I might undo that one a little bit and adjust it, but we can then, oh my goodness, how did I do that? We're over here, aren't we? And we can continue then to work all the way up to the other, and we're repeating this again. So just as a reminder, we finished into our, slip stitched into our chain 2 corner space, we slip stitched across the double crochet that's already there, and then we slip stitched into our chain 2 corner space again. We then worked our first double crochet into that same, into the opposite chain 2 corner space, ready to continue to work 2 slip stitch, double crochet all the way up. And we can do this again in both across the remaining open panels. Once that's all done, we are going to move on to our edging. There is a photo tutorial that's got a bit more close up than I can show you with the weight of this blanket, but effectively we're creating a square in between each of our panels. So continue to join all your blanket panels together, and I am going to see you back for the next video where we're going to be adding our edging.